Astrology Roast. I think it needs to sound like a shitty intro, like a funny shitty intro.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Astrology Roast. My name is Karen.
And my name is Itai, and we are back on another episode of Astrology Roast. So excited. The retrograde is still going. This is our second take for this episode. Who knows how many takes we will have, but good to be back.
It is great to be back, and minus the retrograde, or maybe because of the retrograde, we've been pretty productive in these last couple of weeks, even though it takes us average of 4 goes to record one episode. We've still been pretty consistent. So I want to say thank you, Itai, for coming on this journey with me. It hasn't been easy.
Yes.
I'd like to thank the Academy and God and Jesus and our listeners and everyone at Pixar and Miramar Productions and Weinstein Productions. And anyway, Itai, how have you been? What's been happening in your life?
Well, I want to also add to the long list of thank yous, Dua Lipa, because she's been the soundtrack of my life in the last few weeks. I don't remember the last time I loved a Leo so much. I'm joking. All of my friends are Leos, and obviously I love J-Lo. But I really, really think Dua Lipa she just gives me everything in life. And there wasn't, like, she has a line in her song that says, I don't want to live another life because this one's pretty nice. And it's just so Leo to say that. It's like there's so many people around the world like wishing they were born in the body of someone else, or in the house of someone else, or had the job of someone else, or look a certain way. And Dua Lipa is just like, I don't want to live another life because this one's pretty nice. It's not even just like, she's just content, and I don't blame her.
Yeah, and her line about you don't get over someone whilst you're under someone, or I'm obviously messing that up, but she's pretty good. I feel with Dua Lipa, she's got this cool, calm, collected, I give zero fucks vibe, which makes her just so appealing. I never feel like she needs to play with the big boys and like go super huge. She's like happy with this pocket of pop stardom where she's just nailing it hit after hit after hit. It's like it doesn't go over that and it doesn't go under that. She's just very consistent, but I really appreciate her. And her eyebrows are on point, let's just say.
Oh my God, her eyebrows, and her dad is so hot. I just want to add that. Anyway.
I know, well, why would you want another life if you had really great eyebrows and a hot dad? Like, fair enough.
And they also love each other. Dua Lipa is one of those girls that when you talk about your daddy issues, she's just like, I don't know, I just really love my dad. It's weird,
Oh my God. Wow. And that's why she's cool. That's why she doesn't really care what people think. Like, she just seems to be pretty comfortable with being cool and that she's in this life, and it's pretty nice. Okay, so Dua Lipa's been guiding you through this Pisces month. So I'm glad about that. You've had a sister to hold your hand and walk you through. Anything else happening in the world of the Middle East, or just usual survive, thrive, stay alive?
Yeah, so we also have that virus that everyone's talking about that, I don't know. I feel like I'm waiting for that moment where there's like helicopters and, and the president calls me and says, we need you. You're the only guy that knows this type of science. And I'm like, but I have to bring my family with me. And they're like, we'll take care of them. And then there's like, there's traffic and my family, like everyone around you dies except for my family. Yeah. And then I obviously save everyone, and I can't wait for that.
Wow. Moment. So that's your end of days narrative?
Yeah. And the last sentence I'm going to say in my made up movie in my mind, it will be like me and my obviously wife, because in the movie I'm straight, and I'll just be like, I don't want to live another life. Like, this one's pretty nice. And that would be the
really?
end of the
in a world with only your family, it's a pretty nice life. I think you'd be running.
I feel like get that virus in my blood right now.
Can I want to reflect on this briefly because a couple of episodes ago, many episodes ago, we discussed Sandra Bullock's show, straight to Netflix show. Was it Bird Box? Was that the name of it?
Bird Box, yes.
Bird Box, Blue Box, Bird Box. And
Movie.
I feel like this, that movie, that show, that TV series, that sitcom, I feel like it was so prescient, so preempting the COVID-19 virus. I feel like when I think of my end of days scenario, I don't have such a lovely experience where I'm being contacted by the president. Also, I don't know what's this whole president business like. Are you in the United States or where is that? But like, is that the Israeli president that's being, that was indicted for sexual assault charges, or which president are you referring to in this dream?
Just a president.
Like in my scenario, I'm already thinking about how I can bunker down, use my skills to survive with great deprivation, how I will have to sell everyone I love in order to survive. And, what are my skills that I can barter? Like it goes straight into, World War II narrative, but also it kind of feels like that Bird Box narrative of like, paddling down whilst my kids are on the boat and they're wearing blindfolds and I'm trying to get us to safety. And for anyone that's in Australia, there was a book series that we grew up with called Tomorrow When the War Began by James Marsden. I think he's also, had some charges against him, but he didn't back in the day. He was a well-known children's author. And that book is a bunch of Australian teenagers that they go camping and they get lost in the woods, and then Doomsday happens and World War III happens and they're all surviving in the woods. But the thing is, they're also like going through being a teenager and falling in love, and they're coming of age and having crushes on one another, and it's really hot.
Wow.
So I think that's also my ideal end of days scenario, is like being lost in the woods with like a hot other protagonist and kind of slowly falling in love and feeling hot for each other. But then I go to the Sandra Bullock scenario where I am the mother of 2 children and I'm a failed artist wearing suspenders and they're wearing blindfolds and we're rowing down to safety. And then there's the real doomsday end of days, which is just bunkering down underground with rats and dripping.
I don't
the sound
understand,
of dripping.
But being a teenager is already so difficult. Like, why do you have to put it during like the end of the world to make it interesting? Just like write a book about teenagers going about their lives, Why do you have to put it in a crazy scenario? But I just remembered that I have a cat too. So like,
okay, so your cat will be the first point of call for survival. I don't think you'll save your whole family. I think you'll be like, listen, it's been real. Gotta go. Me and Prince, my cat, have got duties for this imaginary president. And now I'm straight. Bye.
Wow. So yeah, this is the end of the world and this is our game plan. I think we're going to survive.
I think we're going to survive. And I like that you mentioned, why do we need to have an end of days scenario with being a teenager? You could just write a book about being a teenager. But I feel the same about Bird Box. Why do you need an end of days scenario? Being Sandra Bullock as an artist is interesting enough. Like, she captivated the world when she was just on a stationary bus with Keanu Reeves, and she's just got that smile and that charisma. Like, she didn't need to be on a boat with the end of days with all these high production values for that Netflix show. It's just being Sandra Bullock. I would have watched 2 hours of Sandra Bullock kind of trying to fall in love and snorting when she laughs and being a tomboy. Like, that's enough. Anyway, we're in 2020. We're still here.
Yeah, but also it's funny we're talking about the end of the world because this is a retrograde, so obviously we're going back into other things in our lives. And the first ever episode of Astrology Roast, we played a little game. What would the signs do during the end of the world? And this is literally now almost 2 years later where we get to discuss it with a real context of the actual end of the actual world. So, and also in our previous scenario, Donald Trump was the one that causing it, and I wouldn't be so. There's many conspiracy theories that say that like Trump started this and trying to get rid of China's like power, and because they're getting all these economic power and stuff, and there's
Oh
like
my God.
Geminis coming up with conspiracy theories about other Geminis, such as Donald Trump, and yeah, maybe we predicted everything.
I think we did. It's a bit freaky, Donald Trump being in charge of the White House. I was watching The Nanny the other day and Donald Trump came on, and the fact that he was in so many shows before he became president, like, is this going to set a new precedent? In 20 years, is it going to be Sandra Bullock? I hope. Fingers crossed. But is she going to be the crazy prime minister, president, whatever it is? And we'll be like looking back at Bird Box and being like, oh, wow, can you imagine she used to be an actress? I think it's everything is becoming a movie or a show. Like, we spoke a couple of episodes ago, Itai, about how that's your dream when everything becomes a movie and you feel like you're in a movie moment. But it feels like we're in a horror sci-fi end of days scenario with Donald Trump is, leader of the free world. Boris Johnson's leader of the UK. I mean, we forget about them, but they exist because of Meghan and Prince Harry. They're, well, no longer Prince. But it's, and maybe Astrology Rose predicted this. Like, we did talk about the end of days.
Listen, we did talk about it.
It's a lot.
I feel like we were probably one of the only few people that ever talked about it in history. So I feel like we probably, we predicted it. But yes, it is a horror movie. I'd rather be in another movie. Like, I'd rather be obviously in a rom-com. I'd rather be, Matthew McConaughey or whatever you say his last name. And, in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, where he pops his little head out of the window and says, ladies of New York, frost yourself. I'd rather do that role than, the guy that the president calls and has to carry his stupid cat around the world to save the world. But I'll do what I need to do,
Well, I actually will suggest to you a resource for you to look at, because clearly you've just predicted what's going to happen. You will be contacted by the president to save the world with your cat. There is this wild comic book called Why, The Last Man, and it's all about an end of days scenario where all of the men in the world are killed in a virus, only men, so every male, and the only people that survive are women, and one guy, so one main protagonist and his cat, and his cat's name is Ampersand. And it's all about, like, what would the world be like if all the men did not exist anymore? And it's a wild comic book because, like, the Israeli army features in it. So all the women in Israel take over Australia, like the IDF is there. And then all the women in prisons, like, they go to this area and all these women are walking around. They talk about how they used to be in prison and in jail, and now that that's been disintegrated because all the male guards were perishing, and they can't find out why this one man and one male cat or male monkey, I think it's a cat, are the only ones to survive. Obviously, there's lots of hot, sexy sex scenes, so it is written from a male gaze.
Of course. Completely,
and all the women are really hot, but it's a fantastic end-of-day scenario. And so it makes me think of you surviving the world with your cat.
And all my girlfriends.
And all your girlfriends, exactly. Not to kind of save the world, but just to kind of have a nice time. And then you would transition into your rom-com scenario. But yeah, I don't know. I really recommend anyone out there with a membership to the Melbourne Library Service, which is in the middle of the city in Melbourne. You can go there. You can get a couple of those comic books. They are all have ripped out pages and missing different volumes, but worth a look. Why The Last Man, End of Day Scenario. Predicted it here. It's going to happen.
I'm going to call my version How to Lose a Cat in 10 Days, or how to lose a plant in 10 days, in 10 hours, which I can also do. Wow. So this has been the longest start for an episode ever. But we're here. We did it. I would like to talk about, well, we're recording this on International Women's Day. Therefore, the feminist agenda from Karen talking about the end of the world where all the men die Which obviously, which obviously we support on this podcast. We are very. I sometimes call us the original feminists.
Yes, it's true. Trust a man to say we are the original and the only feminists. We don't sit on the shoulders of any other feminists or any other women. We were the, immaculate conception. We came into this world as the true originals, of course.
Listen, I'm Aquarius rising, and what I learned about it is that Aquarius rising people care more about you thinking that they're progressive and open-minded than they really are. So for like the Aquarius sun or Aquarius moon or Aquarius Mercury, they'll be really into that would be like they'll defend the weak. They'll be all about knowing everything about minorities and stuff. And then the Aquarius rising is more like, I like to be perceived as someone that cares about it. So I'm questioning my entire personality in the past few weeks. Also, it's Mercury retrograde, as we know. But I really want everyone who listens to this podcast to know that I support the feminist agenda. How weird is it to call it the feminist agenda? It's like, it sounds like when you say that, you already say you're disagreeing with that.
It sounds like a manifesto, but also we are in the middle or about to enter into Purim season. And I would say Megillat Esther, which is the name of the story of Purim, the Jewish festival that we read out during this time. I would say that is also the original feminist agenda and manifesto.
Definitely.
Because there's all these like hot ass, bad bitch women using their sexuality and their feminine wiles to manipulate, control, and maneuver all the men and the powerful men that are trying to control them and trying to destroy the Jewish people. So I think they were probably also the original feminists.
Well, they weren't as feminist as us, but definitely they belong in the story of feminism.
And now people just dress up as like slutty cats and stuff for Purim. So I feel like we've come full circle. It's a real modern incarnation of feminism.
How to lose a slutty cat in 10 days. I would like to talk about a woman that embodies Purim because she's really into costumes. Purim is like the Jewish Halloween, which we're celebrating now. She also embodies feminism. And she also embodies astrology because she's an Aries and she believes in astrology. And that is Lady Gaga. So
wow, what an amazing segue.
She really is connected to everything we talked about. And maybe one day she'll be on this podcast and I can do this intro again. So basically, Lady Gaga has released a new song called Stupid Love, which I really love now. And it's also, together with Dua Lipa, the soundtrack to my showers and everything else that I do. Basically, I saw the behind the scenes of it, and Lady Gaga has been notoriously Aries throughout her entire career, with, being able to just be out there and forward. And there's like a scene where I think she's at Jimmy Kimmel, and he's asking her annoying questions, and she just takes his paper and eats it. She just takes his paper with all the interview question on, and she just eats it. She puts it in her mouth, and she's like, that's boring. She also once tweeted, it was Facebook tweet. She wrote like a Facebook status saying, I just wrote the song, which is an anthem of a generation. And
oh my gosh.
That was before she released Born This Way. And then everyone was like, girl, what are you talking about? Calm down. And then she was like, released Born This Way. And everyone said, oh, it is actually an anthem. But, she's very Aries. She also wrote, love is like a brick. You can build a house or sink a dead body, which I feel is also a very Aries thing to say. Anyway, in the behind the scenes of her new video, they're rehearsing the dance the night before the video, and then the choreographer goes like, you guys killed it, it's gonna look amazing, and everyone's clapping, and then she goes, no one is allowed to outdance me tomorrow morning, and everyone's laughing because it's like, haha, Gaga, really funny, and everyone's laughing, and as their laugh fades away, she's like, no one is allowed to outdance me because I wrote this song. And everyone's like keeps laughing, but you can just see that she's dead serious. She's really like, no one's allowed to outdance me, which is, it's very Aries. Like I feel like Aries, when they're not keeping their game face, they're like, they admit to be like, I need everyone to dance less than me.
It's totally Mariah Carey-esque, I would say, who's also another critical Aries, and I'm relieved that Lady Gaga is popular in a time when Mariah Carey isn't the dominant pop figure at this very moment, because I don't think that Lady Gaga would actually cope. I also love just comparing Lady Gaga's experience to someone like, let's say, Jennifer Lopez is behind the scenes. Is always her huddling with her dancers going, guys, you know, we've got this, and we, you know, they say a little prayer to Jesus, or they, you know, and she's sitting there rallying her troops. However, it's always about J-Lo looking hot to camera. So it's still the same outcome, but it's a very different expression of it. Whereas Lady Gaga's like, no, I just need to be the best, and you can't outdo me. And I've got to say, I love that she self-identifies as someone creating an anthem. I think that's fucking cool, to create a song and just say like, yeah, I'm a pop singer, I'm an anthem. She also is a huge champion of pop as a form of change, an agent of change. And she's so inspired. That lyric, I want your dirty, I want your disease, I want your love. Yeah. Like, what an amazing energy and idea and concept of love. Like, she is an amazing lyricist as well as an amazing singer. I've never known her to be an amazing dancer though, so I'm surprised that maybe that's why she was screaming at everyone not to outdance her, because she knows that's not her strongest skill.
Oh, she can do whatever she wants. She's like, yeah, she's unbelievable. And J-Lo as well. And we said Aries, we said Leo, Lady Gaga Aries, J-Lo Leo. We have to say a Sag to get the triple fire. So I just watched Taylor Swift's documentary, and also very inspiring, very impressive. She's just, you know, you see all these pop stars and you think, oh, they just look hot in videos and they sing songs, but every single woman and every single pop star had worked so hard and so many years. Like, you have videos of Taylor Swift like performing when she was like 10 at this stupid like carnival, like, and like you see all these people, and she comes up on stage and she introduces herself as if she's now performing in front of 1 million people, and it's just all of them worked so many years before they became famous. So,
and let's think about who is actually the popular singers of our time. Like, it's predominantly women. I can't think of many male pop singers that are huge at this very present time. I know, you know, in the past it would have been Justin Timberlake and there was all the boy bands, but at the moment, the people that are slaying and pushing the envelope are all mainly, you know, women singers. And I don't know, maybe that's something for International Women's Day. I don't know, but the amount of bullshit and misogyny that they've probably had to come to terms with and face at every single juncture of their career, it just means that they just slay when they get to the top. They just, you know, they're happy to scream at people and say, don't dance better than me, and they should have the right to do that.
Exactly. She wrote the fucking song, so no one's allowed to outdance her.
Oh my gosh, wow. Oh, she's such an inspiration. So happy International Women's Day out there to everyone if you're celebrating it. We've obviously given you some resources to look at. You can find a graphic novel that talks about all the men dying, or you can look at Lady Gaga's behind the scenes, or Taylor Swift. Dare I ask you, Itai, about another Sagittarius, which I was assuming that you were about to talk about, and was very surprised when you mentioned Taylor Swift. Brittany, anyone following Brittany? She's been posting a lot of photos from one particular photo shoot in front of a red backdrop with a black swimsuit with Sam Asghari hugging her boyfriend. What's happening with Britney at the moment? Or is it, do we dare enter that space?
I will just say, I don't think we can dare enter that space, but I think that
okay.
I always thought both of her boys are little shits, and I think I spoke about it on this podcast, or I think it was on Space Court when I was a guest on Space Court, which is a podcast you should all listen to. We were talking about Jaden James and Sean Preston and how they're doomed to be little shits like their dad. And I wasn't wrong. I was not wrong, because I don't know if you know that, but both of them are Virgos. Both of them were born like exactly a year apart. And Jaden James just went live the other week, and he, as you know, I don't think it's a very Virgo-y thing to do, because he was like, you know how you don't do the dirty laundry outside. Do you know this term? You need to keep the dirty laundry inside. Yeah, I don't know if it's like an international term. Anyway, he was like talking trash about his grandfather, was talking trash about Britney. The only people he didn't say a bad thing about was his dad, which he said, I have the best fucking dad in the world, and his grandma, Lynn Spears, which he also was like, I have the best grandma in the world. But he was, maybe the Virgo thing was like, he said, if I have 500,000 followers, I'll tell you everything about my mom. Maybe that's a Virgo thing to do. Be like,
wow, what goals. An absolute little shit.
I know. I can't believe I babysat him in my dreams like 1,000,000 times.
Yeah, but you were always going to babysit him, and like he was going to be really cute, and then 5-10 years later he was going to be a little shit. Like, what can you do? You tried your best. But I'd like to also reflect on how not only has Britney been posting some very interesting things, she's also been posting a lot of books that she's been reading, which are all about being a highly sensitive or highly intuitive person. So it's really such a trip when some of the celebrities that you follow online start reading books that you would probably pick up in the bookshop or in the library and read. So it's been really odd. I mean, I'm glad she's reading them. Usually it is a cry for help when you start consuming only self-help books. You know, I'm guilty of this. My shelf is filled with books that are all about trauma and recovery and, you know, astrology and all these different things. And I'm proud of that. But I think in Britney's case, it might be a cry for help. But yeah, anyway, it's International Women's Day, so we talk about women who are going through everything, you know, strength, power, vulnerability. It's all a celebration of the entirety of that. I'd like to bring it back to a couple of podcasts ago when we talked about our love cauldron, because we are in an end of days time. So I think it's important for us to talk about love and light and fun things too. A while back, I put people's names in a love cauldron and a spell was cast. So this was a initiative at the local spell shop in Melbourne CBD. And they were, for Valentine's Day, getting people to put their names inside what they call a love cauldron. And they were going to make a spell on Valentine's Day to wish love and abundance for everyone that was in the cauldron. So I put a lot of people's names down. We had beautiful Astrology Roast listeners writing in with their names or the names of their loved ones or their friends, and I put their names in the love cauldron. Itai, I put you in as well without your consent, and you got pretty upset by that. And then I put your name in again without consent because I just wanted to be cheeky. And I think I have been contacted by some listeners that it has been effective, but in weird ways. So it sounds like something has entered into their life after the spell, but it's always been a bit weird or a bit unknown. So I'd love to hear back from anyone. Please write in if we put you in the love cauldron, how did it go? Like, have you had any love enter your life? Have you had anything non-welcome enter your life? Any loves that you'd rather you didn't meet? Let us know how it went, because I'm really curious. I'm not taking any responsibility for what happened, so please don't sue us if you want to. But yeah, I just want to touch base and see how that went for people, because I have been contacted and I think the results have been mixed. I haven't had any results myself, but I'm curious if anyone else has.
Well, please write to us and let us know, because I'm very curious. What the fuck happened with this love culture? My name was there twice. I don't know if you put Britney's name as well, because thing haven't been the best. So
yeah, it was a bit of a fuck up. Let's be honest. I'd also like to mention, I've had a couple of people recently say to me that they think that we roast their sign more than other signs, and it's usually been. So I went out for dinner with a lovely Virgo that listens to the podcast, and I'm very grateful if anyone listens. So thank you if you're listening again. And it was a really interesting dinner because everyone was talking about dating and love, but mainly dating. And everyone was like, "Oh, you
subject."
I know, and I've been watching a lot of Sex and the City, as people know, and so I do get a bit of a kick out of sitting around a table with a bunch of gals having a chat about love and dating. It gives me it gives me that movie moment that you were talking about that makes you feel so alive. And this Virgo, firstly, a Virgo, I think, and a Leo were mentioning how, no, we hate all of their star signs, and I'm like, no, like everyone says that equally. I think that, we hang shit on a lot of people, but we also try and balance out the love. So I'm really sorry if people are feeling victimized by this podcast. But the girl that was there, she's a Virgo, and we were talking about people's dating experiences. And she mentioned, which I found fascinating, that she has a club with two others where they have KPIs for how many dates they're meant to go on for a month. So amongst her and another Leo, they have a KPI.
For the ESL listeners, or like the non-high-tech people, what is KPI?
Well, thank you for that reminder. So a KPI is something that business organizations have to track outcomes and success. So it stands for Key Performance Indicator. So for a business, it might be how many clients are you bringing in per month, or how many sales have you had in this quarter. So this highly efficient Virgo. Yes.
What's ESL as well?
So ESL, for those that don't know, refers to, it's pretty racist. It is used in Australia as English as a second language. So I used to refer to having grown up with an ESL dad.
Why is it racist?
He's a migrant, and we were all racist, and we grew up thinking, oh my gosh, our dad can't speak English in the same way as the other dads. And so he's ESL, and so it's shorthand for
he is ESL.
English. He's not
like it's his second language.
Well, he's, it is his second language, but he's also in a very special frequency himself. So I don't know, I would say his English is a special language. Like he has his own special language that he speaks to all different people, which is him in his own Libran, Israeli airframe of like flying around the world in his mind. So that's my dad. Anyway, that's a topic for a separate therapy session, which is in 2 weeks' time. But keep KPIs in dating, key performance indicators. So this Virgo says that they have a KPI of 2 dates a month, which I think is a really realistic goal. And she's like, I'm like, well, what if the date is bad, or what if it's shit, or she's like, nah, just do it and move on. And I'm like, this was revolutionary for me. I was like, what? You mean you don't just go on one date every 6 months and then talk about it and agonize it and stalk the person and then reflect on it and then feel all these like complex feelings about it and then need to take a break from the dating scene and then need to doubt who are you attracted to? Like, none of that agony. She did mention, though, one particular date which she went on recently, which I thought was a real indicator of some of the poor behaviors in dating that people are exposed to. She said she went on a date with this dude, and he said, "Oh, can I smoke?" on the date, and she said, "I'm asthmatic." And then he started to smoke. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And then everyone at the table was having similar stories of when they've been on dates where the behavior has been really poor, or people have not responded or ghosted or done all these things. And I just was like, wow, like that's just, we need to kind of lift our game as a collective, firstly. I'm sure everyone that listens to this podcast is very respectful and accountable and kind as best as they can in the dating world, and we all do our best and we can't always win. But if you're on a date with someone that tells you they're an asthmatic, don't smoke.
Don't smoke.
Just don't smoke.
Wow, this is horrible. Like, what can I say? I want to say to all the Virgos there, if you feel like we roast you more than others, and I've said that before, we're not roasting you, we're roasting my Virgo moon. Everything I say about you is about everything I hate about you is everything I hate about myself. So, and it's a lot, okay? So, but I really appreciate the methodology that a Virgo has. And I can see myself doing something like a KPI for different things in my life, you know, so I can do it. Like, I think that's, and also I like the realistic goals, you know.
Do you think I could do a KPI as well? Do you think I've got it in me?
Karen, why are you asking me that? Like, why?
Okay,
You know
I
what
didn't
I'm gonna
expect.
say.
No, what are you going to say? I'm not sure.
I don't know, because here's the thing. As a Gemini, as a stellium, not even a stellium, as a Gemini, you can...
Five planets, not more than 3 or 4, 5 planets.
And that goes to any air sign. You can now, and water sign, I would say, air sign and water signs, we can say a KPI now. And based on everything that you're feeling and thinking right now at this very moment, yeah, you can do it. But what about 5 minutes from now? Maybe you'll look at your KPI and you'll be like, nah, that KPI is stupid. I need to put 50 days a month, or I need to...
Yeah, it is a stupid
my own
KPI.
death. I need to fake my own death and leave the country. So, you know...
What a stupid idea.
So KPI can work as long as it's consistent, and I don't think that is a possibility for you at the moment.
Wow. Well, you heard it here first. I guess I can't have a KPI for love. Yeah, I guess that's true now that I think about it like that. I mean, I know that you're right. I would set a KPI. I would tell everyone near and dear to me about my KPI and my intention to have a KPI. And then a few weeks later, someone would be like, how's it going? And I'd be like, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. You're crazy. So, yeah, I guess maybe I shouldn't have a KPI. But then how am I meant to have a goal-based plan to work towards love and intimacy and connection?
Well, I don't know. I think maybe the love culture would help you with that. But I had a vision of like a Leo doing a KPI of like 3 dates a month, and then they're like,
yes,
they make up excuses they can't, so they get other people to go on the dates for them. But so they think they still do it. They still meet the standard of the KPI, but other people are doing it for them.
Well,
that's very weird.
I think if you have a story from the date, so if you get a story or something interesting, that is more of the goal of, let's say, a Gemini or an air sign, is the titillation of the story or the capacity to talk about something. So for me, that lights me up. That makes me feel excited. Maybe for me, not having a goal of a KPI of 2 dates a month. I must say that there was also a Leo that was involved in this KPI collective. I think if you're an air sign listening to this and you're like, well, I've just had my plan absolutely destroyed by Itai's Virgo moon, what is left for me in this world? If you're sitting there feeling that, and I feel you could have maybe... No, I'm not. There is no unitary me or solitary me. I am a sum of multiple parts of matter in the world. So I can't be insulted. Sticks and stones can't break my bones because I am just matter. But anyway, if you're thinking, well, how will I do this? You might want to maybe more focus on the social component of having a KPI collective. So, for example, I was never able to be part of book clubs because I love chatting to people, but I hate reading the books. So maybe you could have the club where you talk about the date as the aftermath. And so the goal is to go on at least one date or have one flirtation or one connection so that you can then catch up with your friends, hopefully they're all air signs, and have a chat about it. And I feel like that would be more of a motivator for an air sign, because it's more exciting, it's more social, it's more connected, it's more weird. Whereas for a Virgo, for a Capricorn, for a Taurus, I think a KPI is a really practical and smart outcome. It doesn't really look at the quality of the date or the quality of the connection. It just sets an outcome. But I think through that, you have a possibility of hopefully having a positive experience and people not smoking around you if you're asthmatic, because that's a really douche mood.
That's human rights.
It's human rights. And for the water signs, I don't know what to suggest for them. I don't think they listen to this podcast anymore, to be honest.
No, not since the episode 6 where we talk about the Loch Ness monster and we said she's a Cancer. Not since then. The Cancers are gone. The Pisces were never here, and the Scorpios are waiting outside our house with a knife. Well, if we're talking about love already, then I think a few episodes ago I suggested a startup that is a button where you go on stalk mode, where you go on stalk mode and you can stalk people, and then like your like buttons are deactivated. I came up with another thing that I want to share with you. So it's not a startup. It's very practical. Everyone can do it. So for the stalkers of the zodiac, so, you know, your Scorpio placements, your Taurus in Venus, your Taurus moon, your Gemini, you know, all the stalkers. This is for you. So I recently, one of my ex-boyfriends, as we know, is turned to God and became ultra religious. And as part of that, he also deactivated his Facebook.
Oh my God.
Now, obviously, I didn't think that 7 years after the breakup, he will still take me into consideration in his action. Not that he did while we were together, but, you know, I didn't expect to lose all of our messenger history. And, you know, it's Mercury retrograde and the nights are cold and long, and I need to go on a tunnel. I need to go on a vortex, which up until a few months ago included going and reading all of our history and like our first text and everything. And now all of this is gone. So my suggestion to you, which I'm definitely going to act on from tomorrow, is you print out a form, a legal form. It's really easy to get it. You know, you Google it, you like legal forms and it comes up. And in the legal form, you write that if the person was ever to break up with you and deactivate one of their social media accounts, they are obligated by law and by the power of God and by the law of the state of New York that was invested in me to screenshot all of your history and send it to you before they do it.
Wow, I have things to say about this.
Share.
Firstly, well, lately actually, instead of telling people to share, I just say to them when they're talking about something, I go, say more. And then they elaborate. It's a therapeutic tool used by Esther Perel, who is a relationships therapist that anybody listens to and is aware of. But when you hear someone, you just say more. And they do say more. Anyways, I have things to say about this. Firstly, that would not have worked in this current situation because you just said your ex-boyfriend has become fully religious. So he's not going to respect the rule of law. He's only going to respect the rule of God. He's not above the law, but I don't think he would have. I think if you said he wasn't as considerate maybe in the actual relationship, like what makes you think he would then sign a contract and adhere to a contract?
I'm just going to improve it for 1 second. So you do the contract, the law-abiding contract, and also you make them swear on the Bible just in case they go to return to religion at some point.
Wow. Okay. So that sounds ironclad. Like nothing can get beyond that. I think it's a great idea. I think in practice it could be very interesting, but I'm open to that being trialed. Because I think evidence is really important. Like we need to focus on evidence and science, if anything. My second point is for those of you that hear that and feel maybe a bit exhausted at the thought of that. And also like it's not a very sexy thing to be signing contracts so that, you know, the future you, when you're in a stalking spiral at 4 a.m. during Mercury retrograde in Pisces has something to stalk. Well, you can also just star in a performance art piece. You can have someone that you've dated or an ex-relationship create a performance art piece detailing all of your text message history and have it shown interstate and then be flown interstate, which I have done before as well. So I think that's a more easy, user-friendly way of maintaining your past history, is just being in a performance art piece based on your relationship.
Wow. That's a lot of art in the world.
And if there's anyone out there that wants to know what I'm referring to, you can contact us on the Instagram account or on our personal accounts. I am a supporter of the arts generally, so I'm happy to direct anyone to that. And that way you can then stalk someone else's text history. You don't need to focus on your own sad text history, because you can look at my sad past and feel better about yourself. So that's an option as well.
This is why I love talking, because, I had an idea which was, in my eyes, 100% bulletproof, and then you just made it a lot better. So say more. Say more.
I thought you were going to say you just put bullets all in my plan, which, is also part of the creative process, is testing and stretching and innovating and changing and getting distracted along the way. That's part of making it work.
Wow.
Say less.
Well, I think that, we gave the listeners a lot to work with. I know I'm not going to sleep tonight. So is there anything else that is very important for you to say more before we go?
Look, there's a lot that I have to say, but I think we have covered a lot. Obviously, because of all this end of days scenario that we have, it's uncertain when you and I will be in the same country at the same time to record Astrology Roast as we used to from the same room. So we had, hoped to connect and engage with listeners, across the world, because I was planning to go, but at this stage it's uncertain. So we will watch this space, or I will watch this space. But I won't say much more on that point. Thanks everyone, as always, to listening to us. Please hit us up on all of our Instagrams, all of our places where you can find us. And thank you for listening to another episode of Astrology Roast. Was that a premature ending? I don't know.